Spencer, can you do me a favor, Spence?
Okay, we're streaming now. And I will just hit record, and then I'm going to pass it off to you. Record on cloud. Okay. Len, if you could just make me co-host again.
Okay. You're the host. Oh, you want to co-host or host?
Yeah, I'll co-host. You're the.
Oh, sorry, I made you the host. You can make me the host again.
Okay, just one second.
We'll get it.
Okay, make host. Okay, and you're going to make me co-host, right?
You got it. There you go.
Len, Kush is going to call in, and he's on his way home. And then when he gets home, he'll switch to his computer.
Okay. Just if you see anyone come in that you should be in, just everyone let them in.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
It's going to be hard for me because, again, I'm dealing with a very tiny screen.
All right, so I'm going to let in everybody. Is that all right?
Go ahead.
It's 6 p.m. All right. Len, our parliamentarian, do we have do we need one more council member to have quorum here? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Jenny,
Oh, yes.
to join.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just make a few council members co-hosts.
And I got bounced, so someone can make me the host again.
Okay, just 1 second. I'm not sure I can do that. Who's 1 second?
I think Stranell needs to make me the host.
Yes.
Okay, you're host now.
Thank you. And then
And
someone's going to read the agenda because I can't pull up the agenda at the same time. Look at the screen.
Okay. Can you make Chanel co-host, and we also have to make, since we now have quorum, if you can make Janie co-host as well.
Yes, I will do that right now.
Okay.
Hang on a second. Sorry. Can't find Janie.
She's under her Lim Fong Sim name.
Got her. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
And who else do we have?
I don't see. I know a few other council members will be joining us. Yep, that's it. Okay, just give me 1 minute and then I'll pass it off to you. All right. Thank you all for joining us on this special calendar council meeting. Originally, I wasn't sure I'd be attending, and I kindly asked our parliamentarian, Leonard Silverman, to be our host for this evening, our chair, and he kindly, graciously agreed to it. So I'll pass it over to you, Len, and thank you for moderating and chairing today's meeting. Thank you.
So good evening, everyone. Welcome to our special calendar meeting. I just want to give a disclaimer that my internet went out at 5 o'clock this afternoon, and I am doing this on my phone. So I hope everyone can bear with me. First, I'm going to call this meeting to order, and I would like attendance taken. Do we have the roll call, please.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. All right, I'm going to call attendance. Bear with me for one moment. This is out of order. Chen Kwok. Kaushik Das. So Chen raised his thumb is up. Kaushik Das. I know he's about to join. Daniela Igorov.
Here.
Lupe Hernandez. Lupe Hernandez. Okay,
I'm here.
I'm just looking to see if Lupe is here.
okay, thank you. Benjamin Morden. Thank you, Ben.
Here. Here.
Ushma Neal. I don't see Ushma.
She may be joining us later.
Okay. Lim Fong Sim or Janie.
Here.
Thank you. Li Wa or Lily. I'll continue to look for her, see if we have her on here. And do we have now Spencer Silverman?
Spencer is here. I'm going to make him a co-host.
Great, welcome Spencer. And Robin Kelleher, I am here. Robin Broshi, did I skip you?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. I believe I got that, even though it was not the typical order. And we can proceed, thank you.
Do we have a quorum?
We do.
So good evening again. This is a special calendar meeting. There are going to be approximately two resolutions that are going to be on tonight's meeting. So before we get to those, I just want to say that it's very important that we are going to have a lot of speakers that are signed up to speak tonight. And we're going to first discuss the norms for the speakers, as well as time limits. Right now, based on the number of speakers that we're anticipating, do we have an actual list of the number of speakers as of yet? Robin, do we know?
I think we have approximately 30, I want to say. Plus,
Yeah,
it's actually increasing, so which is great to see. I love that parents are signing up to speak. So please continue to sign up if you'd like to say something, and we will try to get you in.
Okay, we're going to limit the time speaking tonight to public speaking, and there's only one public speaking session, to approximately 1 minute per speaker. I'm also going to ask that the speakers who wish to speak tonight identify themselves as well as the school that their children attend if they are District 2 parents. If our speakers happen to be members of the Department of Education or happen to work for the Board of Education, we'd like to have a separate speaking session because we want to allow our parents an opportunity to speak and be identified first. So if you could let us know also if you are a member of the Department of Education or you work for the Department of Education in your comments. With that being said, Robin, could you please announce the norms for speaking tonight?
Okay, I don't have it in the chat, but we will be respectful in the chat. You're allowed to comment to one another. If we see anything inappropriate, we will ask you to stop being inappropriate. And if that continues, we will ask you again. And a third time, we will ask you to please remove yourself or we will have to remove you. But please remember, we're all here. We all have independent voices and we're all here to support one another. This is a little bit different format. So we are not going to have presentations like we normally do, but please be respectful when others are speaking and be mindful that the chat is read by everyone.
I would also like to state that I'm going to set time limits for Mr. McGuire, for Superintendent McGuire, for his presentation of approximately 10 minutes. I'm also going to ask the council's permission in adopting a 1 question per member limit in terms of questions that are posed to Superintendent McGuire when we get to his presentation. I would also ask that the council members will be permitted at least 1 follow-up question or rebuttal based on Superintendent McGuire's answers. Is that acceptable to the council members?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the next thing that we're also going to discuss is the presentation of middle school's admission plan by District 2 Superintendent Kelly McGuire. Superintendent McGuire, if you would make your presentation. I don't know if we have to keep an official timer, but it's basically 6:09. We'll let you know when it's about 6:19 if you're still going, or 6:20.
Sure, no problem. Thanks so much for having me, and I will keep it short so that people can ask the questions that they want to ask, and certainly so that families who are here tonight can express their thoughts about anything that we have to share here, or if they present questions, which is an important part of this process as well. We want to make sure that families that have questions about the admissions process for fall 2023 get the chance to ask those. I know I won't be able to provide a direct answer, but we can make sure that our schools have answers to those questions as well, so that families are well informed. So I do appreciate you having me tonight. The plan that I've put forth for middle school admissions sets a high expectation for our schools. It's a plan that's built on feedback from parents, educators, elected officials, and our central office. It builds on the excellence in performance that is demonstrated by our students, the large geographic area covered by District 2, and the unique landscape of the 18 schools in District 2 that serve middle grades. The plan increases school choice for families and expands and codifies opportunities for accelerated learning across the district. Admissions and enrollment policy is not easy, and it's often a source of real stress for parents. I felt an obligation to families to put forth a middle school admissions plan that supported them, that was clear, and that offered a pathway to long-term growth for our schools. We have high expectations for our middle school educators, and we recognize areas in which we're going to continue to grow and must continue to grow. There's a great deal of work to be done this year and into the future, but we're confident in our ability to do so. What I have put forth is a plan for the fall that builds on the excellence of District 2. Student proficiency is incredibly high in District 2 in relationship to the rest of the city, and so we're well positioned to build a strong district-wide network of middle schools. A strong district of schools in which there are many options in all parts of the district is what I want for our community. We're in a great starting place, but we know there is so much more we can do to make our middle schools even better. We heard the call for accelerated and advanced coursework, and so we are creating new honors math programs at 4 zoned middle schools. Other schools that currently have honors will continue their 6th grade honors math program as well. We chose to focus on math because mathematics, unlike other curricula areas, relies on mastery of a set of skills and knowledge. All District 2 middle schools will also offer a pathway for students to be successful on both the Regents Algebra 1 exam and the Regents Living Environment exam. Implementing honors math starting in 6th grade and expanding Algebra Regents and Living Environment Regents to every middle school in District 2 will dramatically increase the number of accelerated learning options for students in our district. We are confident in our core humanities curriculum, and the structure of these lessons and these courses offer significant opportunities for differentiation. Kids can read different books, write different essays, be assigned different essay topics, receive different feedback on their essays, and engage in discussion across the curricula in humanities. We feel confident that this is a strong position for our schools to start the year in, and we are looking forward to continuing to work with different community organizations, including the Community Education Council, to make sure that our District 2 middle schools are strong for the future. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do any of our council members have questions for Superintendent McGuire? And if you'll bear with me. It's hard for me to tell if anyone has their hands raised. Can someone, if you have your hand raised, you can unmute yourself. Jen Kwok, please go ahead.
You're muted, Chen.
So I'm working with my phones a bit tougher. So yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Superintendent McGuire. I had a bunch of questions I had sent to you before earlier when we first discussed your plan before it was formalized. I think the primary ones I still have are, in the execution of this. One is, while I appreciate that there is accelerated or honors math in each middle school being planned, the other core content such as ELA, science, and social studies are not being offered at the same time, nor have there been a pathway communicated or time frame as to when that will be provided. The other aspect that I'm very concerned about is how will these schools know how many students will be, which students coming in, if you use a lottery for the entrance into the school, which of the students will be able to get into the accelerated math or honors math, and how many seats will be available for those who qualify if you don't know ahead of time, especially for the schools that are smaller in size. And I would look at schools like Clinton or like Yorkville and other schools that will not be able to, if you have like only 2 or 3 classes per grade, how will you be able to form a class in the event that you're, based on your lottery entrance, you don't have enough students to form a class? Thus, how will the kids who have the needs for higher paced math be supported? So those are those some of the basic questions. What is the difference between honors and accelerated math? What about the schools that have never had experience with accelerated curriculum? How will the quality be monitored and ensured that the same rigor is applied to all schools? We already have great inflation across different schools in the city. How will that be resolved by this program when the citywide, this is an issue that has never been addressed? So those are just a few questions that I had, and I'm hoping that you can address them.
Yep. Thanks so much for those. Those are very, very good questions, and I appreciate the chance to clarify some of them. So just to share is that what we have begun our work with in regard to looking at the living environment Regents exam, we are needing to work backwards from that Regents proficiency so that our students starting in 6th grade really have exposure to the curriculum and have access to the kinds of tasks that are going to prepare them well for the living environment Regents. So we've actually already begun working on some aspects of planning for that Regents exam. And we anticipate being able to begin rolling that out in our classrooms next year, starting in 6th grade. We anticipate being able to provide all students a pathway to the living environment Regents class. One of the reasons why we chose to look at a 4th grade math course grade as that which qualifies students for the honors math course at the 4 zoned schools is that we wanted to give parents the opportunity to know something definite about what their child was going to experience in middle school. So you might not necessarily want to apply to Wagner Middle School or Baruch Middle School or Morton Street or 131 if you weren't guaranteed and assured that your child was going to have a seat in the honors class. We know that course grades for 5th grade come out at the end of the school year. We know that things like a placement test might not be something that we will have the results for at the time of families receiving their placement offer to middle school. And so we wanted families to be able to make that choice and have that information, be able to look at their child's report card if honors math was something that they thought was going to be a good fit for their child, determine right there and then whether or not their child was going to get a seat at their one of these 4 zoned schools. And so we are assuring all families that they have access to an honors math seat in our 4 zone schools if they meet the criteria, which is that they have earned a course grade of 4 or equivalent, because there are some different grading systems that are used in different elementary schools around the district. And we have alerted our elementary schools that do not use a 4-point scale that they're going to need to be able to communicate that directly to families to let them know that your math course grade last year, if we're talking to the family of a fifth grader, that qualifies you for an honors math seat in one of these 4 schools. So we wanted to make sure that that was something out there and that was predictable for families. You're absolutely right. Our schools are very different sizes. We have some schools that have just about 200 kids, and we have some schools that have well over 1,000. And the reason why we are starting with this program, or the reason why this program is new, this honors math program is new, is not only because it is historically been very, very popular amongst families in our district, but also because at the zone schools, we feel confident that we can provide enough classes per grade level to be able to dedicate some as honors math and some that are not necessarily honors math. In some of our non-zone schools, like MAT and lab, they are going to continue to run their honors math courses that they have available there. In some of our smaller schools, they are working on a plan that is going to enable groups of students to gain access to honors math curricula starting in 6th grade, so that they can be prepared for the Regents exam when they get to 8th grade. In some cases, a school might choose to do algebra for all, that all they are going to work to prepare all of their students for algebra. And so all of their students will be participating in an accelerated curriculum starting in 6th grade. In other schools that have the capacity, those schools might have specific honors classes. But what we can guarantee is that honors classes are going to be available for families in these 4 zoned schools. And we know that schools that have been running 2 different courses of math will be able to do that. Their plan is to continue to do that into 2023 and beyond. I think that answered your question. I'm not sure if I got it to all of them, but I think I got that.
Yeah, so my understanding, thank you. My understanding is that I was at the lab middle tour, for example. They don't offer this 2 different math offerings until 7th grade. They say that they're already accelerated using accelerated illustrative math, but with a lottery system, you're not going to get everyone who's ready for an accelerated math program. So that doesn't quite give, we discussed offering accelerated, differentiated math all through starting in 6th grade, but it doesn't sound like lab middle will do that. And again, the other courses like ELA and science, you're going to need to, if you're trying to get them to take the Regents science, then you need some sort of higher level science starting in 6th grade. And I didn't catch how you were going to deliver that, or along with ELA.
Sure. So with science, what we are working on is we're currently working with some experts from our central office and also from the core curricula that we use in our district to be able to map backwards from 8th grade to ensure that 6th graders are being exposed to the kinds of content, the kinds of thinking, and the kinds of tasks that they're going to need to be prepared for in order to do well on that living environment Regents when they get to 8th grade. A big part of doing well on the living environment exam is knowing the vocabulary and being able to apply those vocabulary in simulations, data presentations, experiments, that kind of thing. And so we're going to be working backwards to continue and map out that curricula. In regard to ELA and social studies, so in our schools, we primarily use a model that some people know as the workshop model, which begins class with a short mini lesson and then really builds out different groupings of students based on different topics that they're working on, different tasks that are assigned to different groups, different books that they're reading. Some of you might, as parents, might be familiar with your kids participating in a book club where there's a group of 6 or 7 kids that are all reading the same book, and then there are 3 or 4 other book clubs that are in the class. The nature of the ELA curriculum and the nature of the way that we generally do curriculum and instruction in ELA in our district really lends itself to be able to provide kids with what they need. And so that is our continued work around that. We want to make sure that we're providing kids with opportunities to read challenging texts, and we want to make sure that we are giving kids the opportunity to receive direct feedback on their essays and stories and writing, so that they are being pushed along regardless of where it is that they enter. So much of the work in ELA is differentiated in the way that we do curriculum in this middle school curriculum in this district.
Okay,
So
Superintendent, wait, Kwok, Councilmember Kwok, I just want to say we had agreed on rules of 1 question per council member. We're going to move on. Also, Superintendent McGuire, I appreciate your answers. If we could just, for purposes of brevity, just keep it a little shorter. I think
My best, yes.
That want to speak tonight, I appreciate it. I'm not trying to reel you in, but just want to make sure that we have an opportunity to get to everyone that signed up for tonight. I believe Councilmember Urgaroff had her hand raised next.
Yes, thank you. Superintendent Kelly, I have 2 very basic and simple questions. One is, the supermajority of our council are parents who are elected explicitly on a platform to support academic screens. So we know that our parents want what we are defending. We know that the feedback that we have from all the engagement sessions that you organize, there was always a very large group of parents who want academic screens. Other superintendents in other districts came to a compromise and provided that option to some of their districts. Are you ideologically against academic screens, and is that why that was not offered to our district? And my second question is, well, let me first answer that. I would love to know your answer to that question first.
Sure. I think the fact that the plan that I put forward for this accelerated math program actually shows that I think that there is a time and a place for students to be in homogeneously grouped classroom settings. That I recognize that kids learn in a variety of ways. Kids learn at a variety of speeds. And there are times when kids need instruction and curriculum that is that meets them directly where they're at. And so I do think that that's what it is that we are achieving through the honors math program that we are implementing and expanding across the district. And I do think that the engagement sessions that were led by the Community Education Council, the Diversity and Admissions Council, the ones that were led by the district, were helpful in clarifying what parents were looking for. And so that is one of the reasons why we put that into place.
Okay, so you recognize that there is this need, but your plan does not offer that option. And my second question, which is very simple, it probably a yes or no answer, is, do you think it's fair that only families who can afford private school will have access to middle schools that have academic screens? I am now looking for private schools, and a lot of the schools that I'm looking for my son now, because I don't think that your plan will be able to meet the needs of my son, require academic screens. And so people who can pay 20, 30, 40, 50K plus per school per year per school, will be able to have access to schools that require academic screens. But families who cannot afford private school will not have access for that in our district. Do you think that is fair?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Is it fair that only people who can pay for private school will have access to a middle school that requires a test to enter, make sure that all the kids are at a certain level so the curriculum can be best tailored? And as you said, kids learn at different paces. And so then it can actually provide an education that meets the level of their kids where they are. And others, schools in our district, will not have the test. So we're going to have a huge variety. And teachers, like teachers in some SLTs now, are saying, I have 2 classes in my class and I cannot differentiate enough. Do you think it's fair that only the 2 families that can pay for private school will have access to schools, that middle schools that require tests to get in?
I think that question is assuming that there's only one type of school that families are seeking for their kids.
There are many types, and our community has been very explicit that they want that specific type of school, and you are not offering your plan.
Councilmember Ergarov, I'm just gonna, this is a question answer session.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
I just appreciate you. I've given you I let you ask 2 questions, even though I've said it already a number of times. If we could please keep our questions.
I did not get an answer if it is yes, fair, or no.
I think that your question is impossible to answer because I think that there are many different types of schools that are sought out by parents. Parents are not.
My answer is that I don't think it's fair, and I think it's deeply unfair. My family will be able to afford. We're going to change our budget. So many families in our district have written to me they cannot afford, and it is deeply unfair that your plan does not meet the needs of this family.
Okay, our next speaker, I'm going to yield right now to Lim Fong Sing. Janie.
Hi, how are you? Okay, I will make this quick. So over the past weeks and months, we've heard from many families, some for screens, some not for screens. Other districts were able to implement a program, an admissions policy that catered to everyone, some screen schools, some non-screen schools. My question for you, Kelly, is what were the top 2 or 3 variables you used to determine that an admissions policy to eliminate all screens is best for all families in District 2? What I'm trying to drill down to is I want to get inside your head to understand what were the things that made you say, you know what, given the feedback from both sides, I think the right plan to do is eliminate all screens.
Yeah. I'll say that number 1 was thinking about families and thinking about what I heard directly from families and what was going to be supportive of families. I heard from many families that spoke about sibling priority. Under the current, and this has been in place for many years, that if schools screen students upon admission, that there is no sibling priority. I heard in email after email from families that were seeking to maintain screens, that sibling priority was still really important to them. And so that was one of the issues. Another one is in regard to just my knowledge of the landscape of our district. Across our district, we continue to have extremely high performing students in relationship to the rest of the city. And so what we want to do is that we want to be able to provide schools all over the district, in every part of the district, that are high performing for kids, and that families don't necessarily have to send their children across the district to attend a particular school that is screened. So it's really building out and thinking about the long-term future and success for our districts. And then the another issue is that we heard very much that families wanted accelerated learning. And we felt as though we could provide accelerated and honors level learning for our students, and we could do it in a way that was going to expand opportunities and seats across the district and not limit them. And really utilizing our zoned schools that have so much capacity and opportunity to do different things we wanted to make sure that we were building on that resource. So that was incredibly important. So was the feedback that I received from teachers, guidance counselors, in addition to that which I received from families. And so those, I would say, were the main factors.
Next question, we have Councilmember Robin Kelleher.
Hi, thank you for calling on me. I just want to start with saying algebra for all or acceleration for all or anything in that verbiage doesn't work. That's just another name for the basic class. I also want to say that we had many discussions, Kelly, about sibling priority and how you can incorporate that because people did ask for it into your plan. And like, I want to piggyback on what Janie said, you're superintendent for all of District 2, not just for certain groups. And we talked about how that might really work for zone schools. And yet you could still keep some of the schools that have been coveted for a very long time in District 2, like Lab 2, which is my liaison school, in which I might add, for some reason during this process, I've had a very hard time staying in touch with the principal after you spoke with her, which is strange to me, but that was supposed to be part of the process. And my question to you is, what is going to happen to those schools that were once known for being accelerated in areas specifically like Lab Middle School, in science, in math, from an already accelerated peer group who had a higher level of acceleration? What's going to happen to those schools, to legacy of those schools? And why would you take that away from students who would choose that over sibling priority and be willing to commit to a longer commute when that option was clearly voiced by many parents? You had the opportunity to give parents the zone schools they wanted with sibling priority, and also give other parents who asked for screens to give them as well without doing damage to the schools themselves. Why didn't you do that like other superintendents did?
I have no doubt that Lab Middle School will continue to be a truly excellent school. Principal Adams has been there for 17 or 18 years, and she feels confident in her ability to be able to continue to provide the kind of accelerated program that she's maintained for such a long time. Schools like Lab have very, very strong structures in place to be able to serve students who are performing at or above grade level. And I don't foresee any kind of change coming in those schools.
Just, I need to follow up with the Lab traditionally served many students coming out of their area. So those students will no longer be going to those schools. So that principal, Meg, will not have the opportunity to be educating those same students. So it'll become a zone school like every other school. It'll become just a mismatch of lottery students, which is fine if that's what you're asking for, but it didn't serve what other parents asked for. Thank you.
Just for everyone's knowledge out there, this question and answer session is solely for the council members. There is some individuals that have raised their hands, so just please note we're only taking questions from council members at this time. I do have a question for Superintendent McGuire. Superintendent McGuire, you mentioned in response to some of the questions not that long ago that you recognize that there are students in our district that learn at different levels and require different types of learning based on where they are, and trying to meet them based on what their levels are at this particular moment in time. My question is, in this district that clearly there are people that have spoken in favor of screen schools. I believe it's the majority of people in this district, but your plan is strictly a lottery-based plan. Did you do anything in your plan? Did you attempt to compromise in any way and provide any sort of compromise or accommodations to those members of our community that do wish to see some type of screening? Anything like that?
Yeah, I think that the honors math program starting in 6th grade is an important decision that we made that was in response to what families were looking for. I also think that by putting Algebra 1 and Living Environment Regents in 8th grade, what's required is that we change the curricula moving backwards for students to make sure that they get there. We heard a lot of families talk about the ways in which their students were accelerated by putting in Living Environment Regents, Algebra 1 Regents, and working backwards from that. I think that this requires that we lay the groundwork for students to be successful in that way. I recognize that there are other curricular areas that families might like to see acceleration or more challenging work implemented. And this plan doesn't restrict our ability to do that. We need to make sure that we're responsive to all of the students who are in our schools. We need to make sure that we're meeting our 6th graders where they're at when they come in. But I feel confident that this plan will enable us to do that. And like I've said before, there's so much opportunity really for the district team to partner with parent teams to make sure that we're getting good feedback about how their child's experience has been going in our middle schools. And so that's what I see as a real opportunity for us through the remainder of this year into next year and beyond.
Our next question is from Councilmember Hernandez.
Hi, thank you. Kelly, can you talk a little bit about any expansion of additional accelerated courses, I guess, that these middle schools would be able to offer? Because I do remember at the press conference science being mentioned, but I'm not hearing too much of science, and I was wondering if that's more so in the future or what would be implemented this next coming year.
So a couple of things in relationship to science. One is that we asked a specific question on one of the surveys that we gave out in relationship to the kinds of experiences that families would want their children to have in school. And hands-on learning, hands-on science experiments was a big one that was explicitly mentioned. So we need to make sure that that is a part of the curriculum for all of our students beginning in 6th grade, and we need to do more of that across our schools. We also are, again, working backwards, thinking about what the outcomes and goals are that students need to reach in order to be successful on that Living Environment Regents, and make sure that opportunities for access to that curricula are in 7th grade and in 6th grade as well.
Okay, and I apologize. One follow-up question I did have. Can you explain to our community how much, because I think personally, and specifically, we had the most engagement of any district regarding this topic, specifically on admissions for middle schools, as well as high schools. But can you kind of share how you also incorporated the engagement of the school administration, especially because it sounds like this forum is trying to limit the speaking time of the principals or teachers that you kind of engage with that were also considered in your decision, and just kind of explain maybe what was done outside of the family engagements you did within our committees as well as our council and through the DOE Learning Times.
Yes. So I spent some time with both our elementary school and middle school principals. We gathered their feedback both in meetings and through surveys. Middle school and elementary school principals come in contact with thousands of parents every single week. And so getting their feedback was important. Since I announced this proposal. We've stayed in contact with our elementary and middle school principals, and we have held special sessions for our guidance counselors and parent coordinators. We've been getting strong and positive feedback from our guidance counselors and parent coordinators. We make sure that they have access to all the information that they need so that they can inform families of the plan and the choice. And so it's we're continuing to do that all the way up until December 1st when the application closes.
Our next question is from Councilmember Das.
You have to make him co-host.
Okay, hold on. I thought I already did. I don't see him here.
I think I should be good. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Kelly, I'm sorry. I'm hearing equivocating and misdirection. You keep talking about that what was really important to all parents was sibling priority. That affects such a tiny percentage of parents for middle school. Middle school is only three grades. That affects only parents that have 1 year or 2 year kids 1 year or 2 years away and would be applying to a screen school for both their siblings. Compare that to the number of parents who actually wanted accelerated learning, and you deliberately left off screen schools as a choice in your survey, even though Robin and I pointed out to you that was an error. You didn't correct it in any previous ones, subsequent ones. You offer just meager scraps of math accelerated learning, which you had already agreed with me to provide this current year. And then you offer science, which you also already wanted to do, and you say that is sufficient. In the meantime, we were at a DLT meeting where we as a district have one of the highest percentages of academic performers, both by grades and by test scores. And your answer to all of this was to only offer math and limited science in the zone schools, whereas the very detailed plan that the Community Education Council laid out asked for all of screen schools, zone schools with some of what you're offering, some SP programs, and combination of all that to accommodate all the high performing students in our district, both by report card and by test scores. I know that test scores aren't being used, but specifically in the DLT meeting, it stood out that District 2 has one of the highest performing students. Beyond all this, other large districts like 20, 26, and 30 found a way to offer some screen programs. Beyond all this, superintendents of all those districts found ways to communicate with their CECs before they actually released their plan so that there was some sort of feedback. And you announced your plan deliberately at 7:22 p.m. on the night before it was due so that we could make no further suggestions. So the question here is, in light of all that, and in light of all the resolutions that we passed, and in light of all the engagement sessions that you had, including the one that you had for Chinese-speaking families, where they almost unanimously said that they wanted screen schools, and not only that, didn't even understand the concept of lottery. You specifically reached out to, you're on recording saying, you specifically wanted to reach out to this community because they've been ignored, and yet you ignored them again. Even though nearly unanimously said this. So at the whole part of the plan is Chancellor Banks said he didn't care how the results came out. He cared that the community was respected. I'm telling you the CEC was not respected. The majority of the CEC respected. What we're getting from parents, you can look at the chat, they were not respected. The Chinese-speaking community was not respected. Can you please explain to me how you respected all these families with the lame excuse of sibling priority, which represents a handful of students, and many of those parents would have forgone sibling priority for the chance of screen schools and more accelerated options, because that's what they've actually been used to 4 years before this. Please explain how you respected this community, because I don't think you did at all.
I respectfully disagree. I think that this plan
you aren't respectfully disagreeing. You're disagreeing. It is not respectful at all. But go ahead.
I think that this plan incorporates a lot of different ideas that were expressed by families, including the need for screened and accelerated programs. That's showing up in more schools, in more seats, and families have more access to them across the district.
How many seats?
Thanks for the follow-up question. So the number of seats that will be available will be dependent upon the number of students who apply with the criteria and hold the criteria that help them to meet that which we've set for honors courses, which is a level 4 or equivalent.
Just in math, barely in science, not in ELA, not in social studies, and not for kids that are 1 or more years ahead, which a whole school came and said to you that they were. And there's many other schools where that's the case.
Okay, next question.
And no comment on the time frame. Why you cut it so? Why you were the last superintendent to announce this, or the fact that you said that you would confer with us again before your draft plan after the Chinese family engagement. You don't think you were playing games there?
I do not.
Okay, next question is going to be from Councilmember Morton.
Thank you, Len. Good evening, Superintendent McGuire. I guess one item that we can agree on is that student enrollment declines are impacting schools and District 2. Over the past 3 years, we've seen, as I said, we've discussed many times about a 20 to 25% decline in student enrollment. I guess we might have the number now. I'm not sure, but I guess with the projection, it can be around 7,000 or 7,500 now over the last 3 years. With your plan not specifically meeting thousands of parents' requests, are you concerned that we may see students, families seeking out opportunities that not just outside of our city, which has been a trend as the DOE just recently shown, but now you may see some parents and schools, students leaving to other school community districts where I guess screen schools will be offered, but one of my biggest concerns, because we can talk about enrollment, but the actual impact of it is that, are you concerned that we're going to have to mothball, we're going to have to shutter schools and consolidate programs? And if you are, that becomes a vicious cycle, and that's hard to get out of. That I've been, since August of 2020, when we first heard from our district family coordinator about the decline in enrollment, and that's been my biggest concern, because I do not want to see this vicious cycle. So that's my question.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and frankly, thinking about enrollment in the district and across the city was a big factor in putting forth this plan. This plan had to be responsive to enrollment trends that we were looking at in the city. That was, one of the few things that our central office shared with us, that one of the greatest priorities that we have as a city is to bring families back and make sure that our schools are attractive. One of the things that we did here in our engagement sessions, and that also was expressed in surveys, was that the enrollment process produces anxiety, that the enrollment process is unclear, that I put my application in, and I don't know what school my kid is going to get into. And so we want to make sure that every single school is a school that can meet the diversity of needs of students across the district. It would be unwise, I think, as a strategy for building enrollment to say that if you live in Battery Park City, that the only accelerated core school that you could go to is a long train ride away. So what I think is really, really important is this idea of building a network of schools, and that network is what is going to draw families back in, that they will, regardless of where they live, that they will be able to choose from a variety of schools, because we have a lot of schools across different neighborhoods in our district, but they'll be able to choose from a variety of schools that will have programs that will meet their kids' needs. This is something that our chancellor has said again and again and again, that geography should not determine whether or not you have access to strong programs. And that's part of, I think, what is driving in the plan for returning families to our schools. I've asked our principals, middle school principals, to open up their doors, make sure that our schools are open and available for families to come in and see what we're doing. There's excellent work going on, and I think that we're offering a great program for families.
Thank you. Are there any other?
Can I just get one follow-up?
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you. If in any management system, you look to get feedback, you look to see, you reevaluate, you look to see if it's working or not. If you see trends falling, enrollment trends continue to fall, and aside from the growth now that we've had in migrant and asylum-seeking students, but if you see the trends falling, would you pause? Would you take a step back and say, this is not working? The way the district was set up previously, we had high growth. We had many successful schools all over the district. I thought, personally, I think we have and we continue to have fantastic schools. But if you see the trends continuing, do you think, is it your plan, or do you reevaluate? Do you change course?
I think regardless of whether it's looking at the district as a whole or looking at a specific program within a school, that we always should evaluate and make sure that what we put forward is working. And we can make adjustments and changes as needed.
Thank you. Are there any other council members that have any questions for Superintendent McGuire? Okay, the next item on our agenda is the presentation of resolutions. For members of the public, there are two resolutions that are being presented. Both of those resolutions are contradictory to one another. One is Resolution 211 to accept Superintendent McGuire's middle school admissions plan, and the other resolution is to reject Superintendent McGuire's plan. I will just speak briefly as one of the co-sponsors of Resolution 211 and just explain also to members of the public that there are two resolutions being presented because you cannot have one resolution that provides either for the acceptance or rejection of the plan. So that is why we have divided this into two resolutions. As you've heard, Superintendent McGuire has presented a plan, and it is the option of our Community Education Council to vote either to accept or to reject that plan. Resolution 211 is the resolution to accept that plan. It's based on the directives of Chancellor Banks and setting things out. It's pretty self-explanatory, and it is posted on our website. So I really, in interest of brevity, I'm not going to go on mention anything else, but that is the resolution to accept Superintendent McGuire's plan as he submitted it to the district. Is there anyone that would like to present a resolution 212?
Len, if you don't mind, do you mind if I just interjecting? I'm sorry to say this. It's just
Sure.
when I agreed to this time, I did so knowing that I have an appointment for my child a little later on tonight. So I very much want to listen to the thoughts and ideas from families, but I do have to leave at 7:30 sharp. But I just wanted to say that.
Yes, and I appreciate Superintendent McGuire. Thank you for agreeing to the time. We're trying to accommodate your schedule. For the presenter, whoever wishes to present the next resolution, if you could make it fairly brief, because we do want to get to the parents who have signed up here tonight to speak. So if I know there's a lot in there, if you could just try to condense it.
I think we covered a lot of them already. So yeah, I'm one of the sponsors, one of the co-authors of this resolution. We covered a lot of it in some of the questions, but there's three main areas here that I think. One, there was 4 different engagements. 2 of them held by Superintendent McGuire himself, and 2 of them held by CEC. Even at the ones that he presided over, at the very least, 69% of the speakers vocally requested restoration of academic screening. At the CEC ones, it was higher, 75% and higher. And at the last one, which is the Asian American, the one for Chinese speaking families, it was near unanimous, as I mentioned. Beyond that, there was principals that during their school tours on more than one occasion said that that this year the screens would be lottery, indicating, in our opinion, premeditation on Superintendent McGuire's part, and not engagement, and a predetermined outcome, which many of the council members actually publicly questioned Kelly McGuire on at our last CEC meeting, all recorded. Beyond that, I think there were games playing with time. I think District 2 stands in stark contrast to other large districts, specifically 26, 30, and 20, where the superintendent engaged with the CEC both before and after initial plans, and publicly made announcements. And in the meantime, Superintendent McGuire agreed to meet with five officers on the day after the last engagement, which he did not do, also on video. And he gave our CEC, I think, was the last to inform of the superintendents, or one of the last, less than 14 hours before the final announcement, when there was no further ability to make changes. Therefore, we at the end of all this, basically, we conclude that the middle school admissions plan and the alleged process under which Superintendent McGuire developed this plan is in direct violation of the directives of Chancellor Banks, does not address the instructional community needs of District 2 students, and just contains very little evidence of what he should have learned from parent and community engagement. We request that, well, first of all, we reject his plan. That's what this says. We request that Superintendent McGuire resubmit a new plan in accordance with the directions of Chancellor Banks, and should he fail to do so, we request that Chancellor Banks or one of his representatives step in to review, revise, and resubmit admissions plan, accurately addressing the interests of the District 2 community, parents, and school leadership on the instructional needs of our students.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Das. Now we come to the first public speaking session. So I just want to make it absolutely clear. The purpose of this speaking session is for people to comment on the issues that we are here for tonight. So if you want to discuss something else, if you want to talk about school safety or anything, please save that for having another meeting next week. You can bring that up at the next meeting. This is solely for discussion about the plan and the 2 resolutions. I would also, just as a courtesy, I can't require it, but I would ask that you identify who you are and if you have any children who are attending District 2 schools. Councilmember Kelleher, because I'm on my phone due to an internet outage, I would appreciate if you would be able to at least read off the list of speakers that we have.
Yep. This will be limited to 1 minute.
And this is 1 minute. And I'm letting everyone know right now that if you are muted, it is not because of someone else. It was me that is going to mute you. If you need to finish a sentence, that's perfectly understandable. But please, as a courtesy to everyone else, try to keep your comments to 1 minute, because at some point I will cut you off. Thank you.
Okay, the first speaker, thank you, Len, is going to be Ann Hager. Ann, please unmute yourself. You have 1 minute.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Ann Hager, and I'm a parent of 2 current D2 students at PS3 and LMC, and another future student right here who will be in pre-K next year. I'd like to voice my support both for Kelly McGuire and his admissions plan for District 2. Whether you're happy with the outcome or not, Superintendent McGuire did solicit extensive feedback from the community through multiple formats. He clearly took that feedback into consideration in developing a plan that addressed various concerns, from the need for academic rigor to the need for an equitable and humane admissions process. I strongly urge CECD2 members to vote for Resolution 211 to accept Superintendent McGuire's plan. I would also urge the members to be more appropriate on social media in terms of attacking Superintendent McGuire and his family. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the brevity of your comments. It's appreciated. Next speaker, Robin, just call that out, please.
Next speaker is Daniel Swirsky. Daniel?
Yes, hi. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am the father of a 4th grader and a 1st grader at PS 59, and I am in support of Superintendent McGuire's plan. First of all, just to acknowledge that you're in a really tough seat, and to my knowledge that other people on this call have not been in your seat, but want to give advice as though we have. I have not. I've been in leadership positions, and it is really challenging to find a consensus answer. And I can tell you that from my experience with my daughter in a 4th grade class, she's in a bridge class with 4th and 5th graders. And there were feelings that my family had when we found out that without our feedback that she was placed in that class. It has been a phenomenal thing for her to be a part of that, right? Educators know best. You listen to principals, you listen to the community, and you arrived at a decision that I wholeheartedly agree with personally, but also understand that, like, you made a call that you felt like you needed to make, and I want to be someone that supports you in making that decision. So thank you for making that call.
Thank you, Daniel. The next speaker is Ilaria Cotolo. Please unmute yourself.
Yes, hi. Thank you for having me. I'll make this as brief as possible. My name is Ilaria Cutolo. I have a child at Lower Manhattan Community, a 6th grader. I completely support Superintendent McGuire, having worked for increased equity in New York City. School's my family, and I support his decision. It's the good step in the right direction. I believe that screen schools are not fair or equitable for middle school children. Thank you.
Next up, we have Stefan Lautner. Please unmute yourself.
Robin, let's move on to the next speaker. We can come back.
For sure. Okay, so we have Yi Shu. Can you please unmute yourself?
Robin, let's move on to the next speaker.
Next speaker is Terry Ryder. I do see Terry.
Hold on. Sorry.
Okay.
Hi, thank you. My name for the opportunity to speak. My name is Terry Ryder. I'm the principal of PSIS 276, the Battery Park City School. And I wanted to communicate my support for Superintendent McGuire's plan for middle school admissions. And I want to do this partly because 276 has been following a model similar to what Superintendent McGuire has advocated in this plan. We started offering Regents Algebra 1 to all our 8th graders in the 2016-17 school year, and Living Environment to all our 8th graders in 2018. Before making the decision to switch to Regents level courses in 8th grade math and science, we worked collaboratively with other middle school principals to understand their programming and to share best practices. This collaboration between schools and principals and teachers in District 2 is the norm, and it's one of the reasons that I have such confidence in Superintendent McGuire's plan. In 2017, we had 30 students take the Algebra 1 Regents course. In the following years, we have doubled that. So we have now.
So next up, we have Stefan Lautner. Stefan, can you unmute yourself?
That was not me, by the way. Stefan? Robin, let's move on to the next speaker.
You're muted.
Robin?
Yep. So let's move on to Kalani Jenkins. Stefan, in the meantime.
Ready?
And again,
Yes.
this is 1 minute, just so everyone knows.
Minutes.
Again,
So
it's
let's
1
have-
minute.
Our administrative assistant is working the blue sky timer. So let's be courteous of her. Thank you.
Okay, hi, my name is Kalani Jenkins. I'm a D2 parent of 2 children and PTA co-president at PS51. I would like to go on record in support of Superintendent McGuire and the decision to drop screening children. I would also like to remind the council that you do not represent the majority of this district. Most parents in our district likely don't even know the CEC exists. So, you know, they don't have resources to come sit on 6-hour meetings at the drop of a hat over dinner and bedtime. It's a privilege to be able to even sit on these CEC meetings.
Okay, thank you. Is that it, or do you want to continue? Okay, next up we have Fire Stenbar. Fire, can you please unmute yourself?
Robin, let's move on to the next speaker, please.
Okay, we have Nikos. I'm sorry, Nikos, I'm going to put your name if you're on here. Papa Giorgio. Any other council members, if you can help me with finding these people at the same time?
Sure. Robin, what's the name again?
Nikos.
I don't see Nikos.
Okay, and do we want to go back to Stefan or Yishu?
Stefan, are you here? Last chance.
Fire Stenbar.
Well, I'm getting messages from these people. Some of these people mistakenly signed up for a second session, which
Okay.
is our fault. People that we skip, I'd like to just go to the very end because I know some of them were skipped some of them signed up for second session.
Okay, sure. Now, can you please take note of who we're skipping and add them to the end, if you wouldn't mind? Okay.
Every parent, every parent should know that we're going to make sure that every single parent gets a chance to speak here tonight. I understand we're limiting the time, and I apologize for that, but you know, Mr. Superintendent McGuire wanted to make sure he was able to hear as many people as possible.
On that note, we need to move on. So Shannon Ajin,
I don't see Shannon.
Casey Cohn. I do see he's on here.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I vote to reject Superintendent McGuire's middle school plan. Chancellor Banks directed superintendents to engage with families in their community to develop a new middle school plan that would include accelerated and screened options if families wanted. Having attended all of the CEC meetings at which the issue was discussed, the feedback from families and the CEC was crystal clear. The majority of families want choices. That includes both screened schools and unscreened schools and a variety of accelerated and honors classes. I'm flabbergasted to see none of this feedback reflected in the plan. There's not a single screened school for parents who want it. There's not a single new honors class offered. The math and 8th grade science are already being taught. And I want to make clear that many parents are not fooled by the characterization of existing curriculum as new. Very simply, I would ask Superintendent McGuire and Chancellor Banks to immediately provide a screened school for the 2023.
Can someone thank you?
So much. Next up, Lauren Pohl. I'm sorry that people are being muted. We just have to move on to every parent. Is Lauren on here?
She is on here. She's on here, but I can't ask her to mute.
Okay. Can someone ask Lauren to unmute?
I just asked her to unmute.
Okay, we'll come back to Lauren. Jessica Luck. Jessica, can you please unmute?
Hi, I'm a District 2 elementary school student, parent of an elementary school parent. And I wanted to say that I support Superintendent McGuire's plan. I really look forward to my child being able to have a more equitable future in this district in New York City public school systems, and that segregation hurts all students. So I appreciate Mr. McGuire's plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Deborah Alexandra.
Hi, good evening, District 2. My name is Deborah Alexander. I am not a District 2 parent, but I am a fellow council member. I've been a CEC member in District 30 for the past 10 years. I encourage Superintendent McGuire to please reconsider his decision to limit the amount of accelerated options in District 2. I know there is a better way because my district is doing it. District 30 is similar to District 2 in size and in particular in diversity of thought regarding G&T and accelerated programming. We too will offer the Regents track at all of our schools, but we're going to phase in all 4 core Regent subjects, not just math. And we will keep the screened programs that existed prior to COVID and the lottery, which can offer acceleration in all areas because all of their students are at that level. This expands opportunity without taking anything away. While the accelerated math options in D2 are great, it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back for any child who is above grade level in reading, writing, or science. A middle school child who can reason and express themselves on a high school level needs coursework commensurate with those needs. My son attended a citywide G&T middle school, and I assure you there are many, many children who can work at that level and would have wilted if they were forced to read and write at grade level. Ask any child in a middle school G&T class that slowed down during COVID, and they'll tell you how bored they were and how they started hating school. Lastly, whether or not you are in favor of G&T, elementary G&T is here and expanded. A child's academic and programmatic needs don't stop after 5th grade. On the flip side, some children aren't ready for accelerated learning until middle school. These kids need their appropriate education. Please don't hold them back. We're happy to share ideas. We're doing it in District 30.
I'm just going to stop you. There doesn't appear to be a timer. Can we please figure out what happened to the timer? Sorry, Deborah.
Yep, I got it. Thank you. Helen. Go.
Wait. Let's just make sure we do this properly. Wait. Blue Sky Tunnel, please restart. Please don't start the timer until people actually start talking. Thanks. Okay, next speaker.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Helen Guo. I am a parent of a kindergartner and a 3rd grader in District 2. I am speaking against of Superintendent McGuire's plan. I think someone has summarized very beautifully. Parents with the privilege to attend this meeting and express their support of the plan are not the only voices that matter. A large number of people made the commitment to join the Chinese speaking engagement meeting, although the timing of that session was a total joke, and expressed their views in support of screen school. All of those were totally ignored. Thank you.
Robin, next speaker.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to circle back. Yi Shu, she was disconnected. She was called earlier.
Oh, you're mute.
Please unmute yourself.
See if I can do that.
Thank you so much for calling me again.
Wait,
my name
timer. Oh, okay, thanks.
I am a D2 parent. I attended every single CEC meeting with the parents engagement, and some of the meeting that Kelly attended himself. An overwhelming number of parents are supportive bringing back of screened middle school process. I am strongly rejecting Superintendent McGuire's proposed plan, and I think the resolution 212 of rejecting this plan doesn't even go far enough. I think Superintendent Kelly McGuire failed to represent the interests of the district community parents. He should be fired. He has a clear conflict of interest with his wife, and I think we as parents well heard, through many of these meetings. It's deeply unfair.
Thank you. Next, we have Fire Stenbar is on now. Fire, are you able to unmute yourself? Can someone help me find Fire? I know she's on here.
I am here. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. I'm having a few audio issues. Just bear with me for one moment. Okay, there we go. Okay.
Can you reset the timer? Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me a part of this very important discussion tonight. Obviously, we are all here this evening to express our feelings pertaining to the middle school application process. Families throughout every district feel this process has been overwhelming and a challenging step for our kids. In all reality, the thought of being able to list up to 12 middle schools for our children was stressful. In addition to stressors and anxieties families have experienced, we will not know school offers until late April or May of next year. Families throughout every district will be on edge knowing they may have to scramble for their choice. Excuse me. Okay, where am I? I lost my train of thought. Families throughout every district will be on edge knowing they may have to scramble for their choice school depending on the location of their school of choice. Now, to touch base on screenings, I believe the screening of schools is important for children who may need to be more academically challenged. My question is, how will G&T students advance in 2023 while hold children back from excelling? Presently, families have expressed their concerns of the screenings and lotteries. We've heard resolutions that were created. However, we have yet to see results. The overturned decision by Superintendent McGuire and DOE has shocked families in every district. We feel neglected and betrayed because families were ignored and not heard. We feel Superintendent McGuire perpetrated a fraud.
Robin, can you unmute yourself?
Sorry, I muted myself by mistake. Jean H., can you please unmute yourself if you are here? Next up after Jean will be Adelia Saunders. But
And
Jean,
just, it would be very helpful also if the speakers would try to at least get out if they can, if they support or oppose the plan. I think that's important. So
Jean cannot unmute. There's a message in the chat.
okay, hold on.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, hi, thanks. My name is Jean Han. I am a public school parent. I have family members in D2 who are public school students and close to applying to middle schools. And I'm deeply concerned with the superintendent's plan, and I'm speaking out against it. There was a clear request from parents to keep screen schools, but instead they were all taken away. Like many parents here, many of us listened to hours of town hall meetings on middle school screens under Chancellor Carranza. And it was clear back then, just like now, that parents want to keep them. There was even a recent New York Times The Morning Consult poll released last week where 50% of the public is in favor of screened admissions and only 36% opposed. I'm outraged to hear that there may be even a conflict of interest between Superintendent Kelly and his spouse, who is clearly ideologically opposed to the use of screens and has seemingly financially benefited from her work opposing screens. Chancellor Banks asked for supers to listen to the parents if they wanted screen programs. Families specifically asked for screen schools. Families should be given screen school options. Thank you so much.
Next up, we have Adelia Saunders. Can you unmute yourself, please?
I don't see her.
And we're going to move on to Jeremy Mack.
Can we, before we go on, I just want to be absolutely clear. First of all, there's no preference being given to anyone. There are some comments that are being made, including some that are being raised by the council. In terms of who's being muted, I'm on my phone, so I'm trying to mute people. I can't mute people. I have asked people to keep their comments to a minute. So I'm going to ask the council members to mute people that go over the minute. Please, you can try to finish your sentence, but there's nothing personal. There's nothing. No one's waiting to hear who's making the comment. So I reject that that statement. So let's go on.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Mack. I'm a D2 middle school parent. I reject the plan that's been set forth today. I echo the sentiment of many other parents that regardless of whether screens are added, additional accelerated classes are needed in middle schools, particularly in ELA. The ELA program that was described earlier in this meeting by Mr. McGuire effectively breaks kids down into 5 or 6 different book groups. So that each different group can read a different book. An ELA class is only 45 minutes. So if you have 6 different groups of kids, each kid is getting about 7 minutes of teacher time in a class. This can't be good for anyone. This is a fundamentally flawed ELA program that needs to be addressed. And really, we don't need to overcomplicate it. You can add an additional ELA accelerated program. It's not going to be that detrimental to the other objectives that are being advanced. My concern with all this really is that I think people are getting too bogged down in principles instead of finding what is kind of a logical middle ground to all of this. So those are my thoughts.
We need to start the recording again.
Do we know how to do that?
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Rebecca Schwager.
I'm the
Hey.
parent. Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we
Hi,
can. And
okay.
it will be available for later comments. Can we restart the timer? I apologize.
Oh, it's okay.
It's
Thank
fine.
you. Okay. I'm a parent of a District 2 student and want to just express my disappointment about Superintendent McGuire's middle school admission plan. I don't agree that a lottery system is fair and equitable to students with accelerated learning needs. Students in accelerated 5th grade programs end up repeating an entire year of school under the current plan when they enter 6th grade. I respectfully request that we reinstate screens in middle school and that we move forward with the proposal to expand PS 77 through 8th grade, enabling a program that has demonstrated success to grow and allow additional students to join at the 6th grade entry point. Thank you.
And Chanel, if you're operating the timer, thank you so much. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Next up, we have Craig Slutskin.
Thank you. I am opposed to the plan. Superintendent McGuire, I don't always agree with you, but I've always respected you and the amount of dedication you have to your job. You know that. But I have to say, this was kind of a slap in the face of an elected CEC, which overwhelmingly supported some screen. I was at 2 engagement sessions. One was like 90% in favor of screens, and the other one was a majority. There clearly was enough interest in screens, and it was a slap in the face to all of us that invested the time and energy to speak out. What you could have done is piloted screen programs in 1 or 2 of the schools at the very least. What you could have done is brought back SP instead of 1 honors class in math. What about advanced learners in ELA, social studies, and sciences? Is math the only subject you feel our kids can differentiate yourselves? And by the way, you wrote in your letter that this was needed because it was easy to understand. We have high school screens and people seem to understand that. So I'm assuming you do feel that D2 parents can comprehend a screen system. But you did nothing. You didn't hear any of us. Other superintendents did. You should use D20 as an example, as Ms. Alexander had said before. I'd like to understand how you feel you did with parent engagement. It seems from our end, you would get an F because there was a lack of follow-up. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for making that right on time. Next up, we have Faija Maji.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, thank
Yes,
you.
we can.
Hello, I'm here to say what I've really been saying for the last 3 years now. I believe in school choice, I believe in acceleration, and I'm very disappointed that the D2 middle school's admission plan doesn't offer more acceleration and no screens. I don't believe that screens are racist. If the middle school plan had incorporated some mixture of screened and unscreened schools, many more parents today would have been satisfied. The chat alone is proof that you cannot ever satisfy everyone, but the difference is that the parents who are anti-screen seem to think that everyone should be on board with their choice. I'm in favor of a choice of screened and non-screened schools. I'm not a racist, and I'm not forcing everyone to agree with my choice. I don't see why there couldn't have been more of a choice for D2 middle schools. In D26, D20, D30, there are screened options and there are unscreened options. Why is D2 being treated differently? I really don't understand. I think there was enough demand in all the middle school engagement sessions that we've been having for the last couple of weeks, maybe even a month. I really am disappointed that, some parents, their feedback just wasn't taken into account. And I hope that, going forward, it will be. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Julia McNally. I have 2 children in District 2, including a 5th grader. I'm here to support Kelly McGuire's plan. An equitable plan is not one which favors students who are already good at taking tests or quote unquote accelerating academically. It's a plan that seeks to lift up all students, in particular the students with the least amount of privilege. It's a plan that integrates students from different backgrounds and brings students together, uniting our community. Screens are a way of limiting resources and allocating resources to people who already have more privilege and reinforcing patterns of privilege and imposing them onto the next generation. I respect this plan as fair, courageous, and practical. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Mar Fitzgerald.
Hi, my name is Mar Fitzgerald, and I'm the Vice Chair of Schools and Education for Community Board 2. For years, we've conducted robust engagement with our students, with the students in our district, the families, their schools, teachers, and administrators. What they've told us time and time again is that they do not want screens. The overwhelming majority of the families in our district, which encompasses the West Village, Soho, NoHo, Little Italy, Hudson Square, Gainsborough Market, and perhaps most importantly, Chinatown, have wanted an equitable middle school admissions process and an end to the exclusionary, discriminatory barriers that have restricted access and opportunity for their children. Now, speaking as a public school parent, I want to say I support Kelly McGuire's decision. It is a common sense approach to creating schools that serve each and every one of our kids. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Mihir Desai. I'm not sure if I see you on here. Please unmute yourself if you are on here.
I don't see Mihir.
Okay, Kamala Carmen.
I don't see Kamala.
I'll say Kamala. Colleen O'Connor Grant.
I do see her. Hold on.
Yeah, please unmute yourself.
Hi, I'm out on a public street corner. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Hi, I'm
Start the
Colleen
timer, please.
O'Connor Grant. I have a student in District 2. I have another student in District 1. I am on the SLT at the Charette School. I am fortunate to be involved with New York City Public Schools, where I have met thousands of diverse learners. I'm speaking in support of Superintendent McGuire's plan, which treats all students fairly and, bonus, improves opportunities in our middle schools in terms of curriculum and expands parent choice in terms of schools. The folks on this council should have no problem with the plan that takes into account all of our public school students. There are thousands of them in our district, and not just a segment of test prepped kids. I make this point because at the age of 8, 9, and 10, all of our kids are accelerated learners. This is backed up by brain science research from the last 10 years. All students deserve a fair opportunity, and screens do not provide that. Finally, I would like to speak to sort of the Tucker Carlson nature of how these CEC meetings have become. If you are against this plan, you're in favor of wasting our tax dollars. There already is a program called G&T for test prep kids. If you want to continue test prepping your kid, pay out of pocket for it, just like all parents who have IEP students, District 75 people.
Erica Rand Silverman. Are you on here? Yes, I see you on here.
Hi, thanks. I just want to say that I am very much in support of Superintendent Kelly's plan, and I'm grateful for it. It's reasonable and it's forward thinking. I have 2 children, one in PS 116, District 2, one at Baruch, District 2. They are hardworking, highly engaged, highly self-motivated. We did not want our children to be unnecessarily stressed about the transition to middle school at a young age. We want our children to be given the opportunity to learn within a diverse classroom community, diverse in abilities and intelligences. We want our children to have the opportunity to attend a school that will have high expectations of them and can provide advanced learning opportunities should they show special aptitude. I would only be happier if we could move beyond the same fight over and over and over again to begin looking at our schools to figure out a way to make them even better than they can be. I feel like he is taking steps, Superintendent Kelly, to get us there. But if we keep segregating everybody, we're not going to be having that conversation. Let's get together, get in the same schools, and make our schools the best that they can be. Thank you all very much.
Karen Hilfiker, are you on here?
I would just ask, is Superintendent McGuire here? Did he leave? I'm just curious. Okay. Just for every member of the public, just know that these comments are, this meeting is being recorded. You will have an opportunity to review this. Should be posted eventually on a website. So your comments will be memorialized.
I actually do see Kelly. I just don't see.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to move on. Karen Hilfiker, are you here? I want everyone to get their chance to speak no matter what. And we'll save this, like Len said, for Kelly to hear or anyone in the DOE to hear at a later point.
And there are also a couple of people who are trying to sign up. If you're having difficulty signing up, just let us know. Everyone will get a chance to be heard tonight. So Robin, call the next speaker.
I have, thank you,
Oh,
Karen or
sorry.
Corinne Hilfiker. Not seen.
Karen's not on muting.
Okay, is she on here? Be her. I'm going to skip ahead and come back. Gavin Healy. Please unmute yourself.
Great, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm the parent of a fifth grader in D2, and I completely support Superintendent McGuire's decision and the very thoughtful community engagement that went into it. Middle school applications are due on December 1st, and the fact that some of you are calling for the district now to formulate a completely new admissions plan with just 3 weeks to go before the application deadline is an affront to families in the district like mine who are now going on middle school tours and coming up with school lists. I understand that some of you are upset, but it's time for you to finally put your egos aside and do what makes sense for families in this district. Resolution 212 is a litany of petty grievances and paranoia. This is not what community engagement looks like. Calling an impromptu meeting and putting forth a resolution like this full of insinuations is not the way to represent the families of this district. And it bears repeating that you represent all of us, including the 90+% of us in this district who didn't vote for a single one of you. Over the last few years, I've watched with dismay as the Community Education Council has turned into the Community Screening Council. I've been waiting patiently for you to start talking about how to educate students instead of just sorting them. I guess I'll have to wait a while longer. In the meantime, I'm glad we
Christina Gradassi.
Hi, I would like to, yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I would like to speak out to reject Superintendent McGuire's plan for 2 reasons. I have a 5th grader in PS 40 and a 7th grader in Baruch who is in the accelerated mathematics program. I am probably one of the few people in this call that has that experience. It's not adequate. It is not adequate because it does not consider the full academic needs of the child. We need screened schools. We need that option in this district. The parents have overwhelmingly asked for it. And I think that Superintendent McGuire has frankly thumbed his nose at us. His wife published an op-ed the day before he announced his plan, which to me shows he never had any intention of listening to us and our input. We deserve a choice. Accelerated math is not enough.
Next up, we have Vladimir Medevsky.
I don't see Vladimir.
Vladimir. Sean D. Alexander. I did see Sean D. Yes, I'm asking her to unmute. There. Oh.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, my name is Shandi Alexander. I have a son that attends PS 11, and I'm against the resolution to stop screening. I feel like it's a blanket approach to a much larger problem. I think it's incredibly lazy, and it's pandering. So parents, many parents can feel that somehow a very undiverse district can feel better about it not being diverse. I feel like many of the children that Kelly so-called wants to bring equity to will fall through their cracks because teachers and schools are not equipped to properly accommodate such a diverse array of learners. The teachers have been used to teaching one group of kids, And so they'll have to just kind of teach the middle. Kids that have more needs for academically will not be taught, and teachers that need more help will not be taught properly. Sorry, I tried to get it all out.
Thank you. Sumitra Bajpai, are you on here?
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am against middle school admissions. I, like many other parents, have stayed up late and attended many of the CEC engagements, calls, and we overwhelmingly wanted to have screen options. Other districts have screen options, so I don't understand why we can't have some screen schools that are screen. I also want to point out that New York is changing, so the Republican wave is coming across. Nassau County has now gone all red, so people should pay attention. People are voting not only at their feet, but they're also voting at the ballot boxes. So we should keep in mind that what we are asking for, what we demand, should be heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Emily Hellstrom. Emily, are you here?
Hi,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, my name is Emily Hellstrom, and I was a former CEC member, and I'm currently the parent of a District 2 child, middle schooler. I support Superintendent McGuire's decision to put forward a sensible middle school plan. Not only will this bring much needed equity in admissions, but also provide much needed access to accelerated curriculum to families and students who would not have access otherwise. I continue to believe and advocate for the implementation of structured literacy and direct explicit instruction for all students in reading, writing, and math will bring even greater gains for all students. Our District 2 schools have so much to offer, and our students have so much to offer each other. So I am proud to support Superintendent McGuire's balanced approach for all students. Thank you so much.
Next up, we have Tom Rockledge. Tom, are you here? Yes.
Yeah, I am. Thank you, Robin. I'm Tom Rockledge. I'm firmly against the lesson superintendent's plan. I have a non-binary child who did not go to a screen school, but I will not be speaking. Draken, who is part of my family here in Cartagena, who is also a Venezuelan immigrant to Colombia, will be speaking for himself. Come on, Draken. This is the context, Robin.
No habla por mí, Robin, no habla por mí, Emen. Tú y los demás miembros de esta comunidad que costan nuestro dolor y sufrimiento no habla por nosotros. Solo queremos la oportunidad de obtener una buena educación en los Estados Unidos y nos gustaría estar en aula donde el maestro pueda enseñar todas las clases. Te preocupas por cosas estúpidas como escuelas selectivas y programas para dotados y talentosos. Ignora lo que realmente queremos. No somos actores pagados, somos personas a las que ignora porque aunque dices que te preocupamos por nosotros, tus acciones demuestran lo contrario. Gracias por la oportunidad de hablar, Tomás, y dirigirme a estos gringos locos.
Muchas gracias.
Can you get a translation for those of us who were never...
Ay de mí.
Can anyone give us a brief synopsis of what that was? What was
Lupe,
said?
can you translate that for us?
I mean, not verbatim, just a very brief synopsis.
He's in favor of all the opportunities that we have here, and he's in support of
No,
screen.
he actually said he was not in favor of gifted and talented.
We didn't just talk about gifted and talented, but he wanted more opportunities.
The boy said, he said that.
Why don't you tell us, Lupe? Tell us what he said.
I just did.
Well, he
And,
spoke for a while.
and the
Okay,
camera that you guys are, it was inappropriate even after the fact.
All right, let's move on. I'm not sure what that
What-
comment was, but
Thank you. And just so everyone knows, when a child speaks, we've elected to turn off the camera. I mean, turn off the timer because we feel it's wrong to silence the children. So
And just for the record, the reason why I also asked the timer to be turned off was there were two people that were actually speaking, and I believe they should have gotten extra time. You had Mr. Rockledge and the child.
okay, so I'm going to circle back. Nisha, are you on here? So can you unmute yourself?
Very quickly, I'm opposed to the plan. My choice as a human has been taken away to teach my child as I see fit. I work in a school and I know differentiation does not work. It's supposed to work and it has never worked. So why would it suddenly start to work? 2, the schools that we're being told are going to be good for our kid regardless. My son visited a school that shared a school with transfer schools. So my kid at the age of 10 would be sharing a school with a 21-year-old. That is dangerous and unfit. 3, the work that my child saw was in that middle school that he visited was the work that he is currently doing in his 5th grade class. So he would be doing work that he already does. It would not benefit. Lastly, I'm being told by certain CEC members and other members that the lottery would allow kids of color to benefit. But my child right here, who is a kid of color, has 86% ahead of him, which means he would not, despite doing well, which he wasn't timed for, which he wasn't, I don't send my kids to schools. I don't have privilege. I don't send my kids to get test prep. He did well on his own. He would not be able to get into a school that he earned because 86% of the kids ahead of him earned it. And lastly, I want to let you know that families are going to go to charter schools because if my kid doesn't get into a school, I'm going to have to send my kids. And I work for public school and I will have to send my kids to charter school. And
Thank you. Sorry.
And there's a child there. I just wish I think I didn't finish.
I'm sorry. I can't see.
He was going to speak, but he doesn't want to speak.
Does he want to say something? Okay, I'm sorry about that. Is there anyone that we called who was not here when I called them, but did sign up to speak? Charnel, is there anyone that I am, to your knowledge, missing?
There's a hand raised.
Yeah, we skipped.
For Nadia and Allison.
Okay.
And then I'll put the rest in the chat.
I'm going to call
I am here.
Stephen Stowe and then Nadia. And then Honey Guzman is saying.
Robin, I had been unmuted.
And make sure
Stephen, let's go on. Thank you.
Can we, wait.
Timer, please.
Wait, can we have the timer up, please? Because thank you. All right, reset the timer when he starts talking. Thank you.
Sorry, I don't know. Was it me or was it Stephen? I don't know who's.
Stephen, please, why don't we start with Stephen? And then we'll go to you, Stefan.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Robin and CEC2. I'm from CEC20. I'm the president of CEC20, and I just wanted to share a little bit of our experience. I hope Superintendent McGuire is still listening. We had 11 screen programs prior to the pandemic. Our superintendent agreed to restore 3. Overall, it was a very positive experience. I'm not going to say that we agree with our superintendent on everything all the time, but I was very pleased with how he worked with us. He allowed us to make our points. Sometimes I felt like we were not going to get everything we wanted. We didn't get everything we wanted. Sometimes I felt like we were being ignored or deflected, but he came back to us and discussed his decision with us. And then he made a public announcement. We got 500 seats from our 3 most popular district-wide screened programs restored. Very importantly, he's requiring the schools to really define their programs, outline what's unique about them. So I just want to hold that up as an example, a positive example of how this should work. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Stefan Lautner. Please unmute yourself.
Thanks, Robin. I'll be very brief on this. I oppose the plan that was put forward by the D2 leadership here. And furthermore, I really have no trust and no confidence in Kelly McGuire's leadership of this district. I've seen him and heard him in the past talk about reaching out for community engagement, and really the only engagement he listens to is his own ideology and ignores the disrespects parents in the community. So really, I have no faith in anything that he's done. If I had the choice, I wouldn't have my kids in the public system. I don't have that choice, but I have zero faith in what has been going on in this district at the leadership level. Thank you.
Robin, I put the names in the chat.
Next up, we have Nadia Levy. Nadia, can you unmute yourself, please?
Hi. I just wanted to, I really disagree with Kelly's decision. And what I really find frustrating is how it took him so long to come to that decision, even though I knew that's what he was going to decide. But the parents were in the dark until the very, very end. And I just feel that's not right. I went through all the meetings, every single meeting, that engagement meeting where he wanted to hear the parents' input. And, it was very much strongly for screens at every single meeting. So I don't understand. It's like he didn't really want to hear anyone's opinion, and he just came to his own decision in the end. And I do want to say that this then falls on the teachers, because when there's no screens, you're asking the teachers to cater to everyone's different level in the class. That makes it 10 times harder. I just don't understand how this is right for anybody.
Thank you. Next up, we have Al Sue.
Hey everyone, I'm the president of CEC26. So let me share with you what happened in 26. Our superintendent engaged with the community in a town hall held in November 2021 under the previous administration, and was attended by hundreds of parents. Fast forward to October 2022, our superintendent conferred with the CEC, President's Council, and the middle school principals. So all and sincerely honored the wishes of the parent community. They to oppose G&T screens, that's fine. They can simply choose not to enroll their kids in a G&T program. A screen program. However, I have a problem with them denying the right of parents to choose what they feel is best for their children. And choice should not be taken away from parents. This is akin to some red states denying a woman's reproductive rights. Not decisions based on majority rule. Even if the majority of the community does not want screens to be reinstated, the minority of the parents who do want screen programs should be accommodated. So please keep that in mind, Superintendent. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Vanessa Wyeth.
Can someone mute whoever is? Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you. I'm a District 2 parent. I have 2 kids in District 2, one of whom is at Clinton Middle School. The other is now in high school. I would like to speak out in support of Superintendent McGuire's plan. I think we all want all of District 2 schools to excel. We want all of the students in this district served. We want opportunities for differentiated and accelerated learning for all of our kids, and we want appropriate supports for all of our kids. My children have been extremely well served by being in ICT classes where the teachers are able to differentiate and teach at different paces and to different levels. I would really urge the CEC to spend more time looking at how to expand those options in our district rather than re-litigating the same tired argument about screening and sorting children. I really hate the level of competition this puts on very young kids.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have Nicole Giacco.
Hi, can you hear me? My camera doesn't seem to be working.
Yes.
Okay.
Now we cannot. Can you unmute yourself?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm the parent of two children, one at PS 116, one at Eleanor Roosevelt. The one at Eleanor Roosevelt obviously went through the screened admissions. I am for Superintendent Kelly's plan. This actually opens up choices for parents because most people went for the screened schools because that is where the Regents classes were. That is where most of the accelerated classes were. This plan provides them in more schools. This is exactly what we need, and we need more of it, but this is a beginning. We need a substantive conversation, not of just parents who are upset about one thing or the other, or council members who are upset about one thing or the other. We need teachers and principals and to talk about the curriculum. Let's move past this. Thank you.
Next up, we have Marianne Powers.
I am trying to, okay, there we go. I unmuted. Okay. So thank you for your time. I know this is hard work and I appreciate the council members for supporting the opportunity to have everyone speak. I have an IEP student who is in a District 2 public school. I support Superintendent McGuire and equitable access to education. I hear the concerns of parents who disagree, and I understand that they want to have more and better choices, but that is what I would like to have open to everyone. So when they say that they want choices, the challenge I'm having is that screen schools actually limit choices, and to limit opportunities for someone who is in 5th grade, it reinforces systemic biases, and it's too early to start cutting kids off from what they need. I completely support the needs for differentiated learning from G&T to IEP to District 75. What isn't clear to me is that I keep hearing the families that disagree saying that they're the majority, and I don't know that that's the case. And even if it is the case, I'm not sure that supports all of our children.
Honey Guzman is next. Please unmute yourself.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to speak. I want to say thank you to Robin, the facilitators, and everybody giving us this opportunity to speak. In terms of screening, I am a parent. Both my child and I had to go through that process, and we both had to travel far from our neighborhood to be able to go to a school that can provide us with the education that we were at our levels. And I had to wake up at 4 in the morning to get at 4:50 a.m. to get a bus at 4:50 a.m. to go to a school that starts at 7:30 in the morning. So the screening process, the selection process does create division, does create envy, community discord. We should have better schools where we live. And then as a parent, I will tell all parents, please do not rely on the school system to do what you need for your child. You do for your child what needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Tamara Reed.
Hi, it didn't work before, sorry. I just want to say thank you to Kelly and to all of the people that worked so hard to collect family engagement and community engagement in District 2. It's no easy task, and it's going on decades of work. I'm in full support of Kelly's plan. I think it reaches the most children across the district. It gives equal access to all students. It gives access to students who, because of reasons beyond their control, don't test well, whose potential for growth and engagement cannot be captured in a standardized test. I have a son who would not have been able to go to the school that he's in now based on his testing ability, who is very excited and thriving. And it's because the level of the curriculum is so high. It's being challenged. And so challenge every student to say that they can't do it. Thanks.
Next up, we have Rachel. Tam, I have to mute you, please. Next up, we have Rachel Knopp.
Hi, thank you. I'm a parent of a child in a D2 school. I am a white mother and my child is mixed race, and I want my child to learn with a variety of racial and economic diversity within her classmates. And it has been shown time and again that screening will siphon children in a way that decreases diversity, that limits opportunities for all children. And I want her to learn that equity is one of the most important parts of our educational system, and she can have a love of learning without screening. And I know she already has, and I think that middle school is too young for this. So I agree with Superintendent McGuire's decisions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't have anyone else right now, but I would like for clarity. There was a little boy who spoke. I'm sorry.
Wait, there's one more. I have one more parent who I'm going to try one more time. She had technical difficulties. Lauren Pohl, can you unmute? She's logged in 4 times. I think she had technical difficulties. It doesn't seem to work. Lauren,
Okay.
going once, twice. Okay, go ahead, Robin. Sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to go back. There was a speaker, Tom Rockledge, who had a little play on speaking Spanish. There was some confusion about what he was saying. Lupe and I disagreed about that. His name is Drykin. This is what he said.
Robin, do you have what's written, what's said? I mean, if you want to post what he said, and then if somebody wants to post a counter thing, I just don't want to have a debate.
Well, then I'd like, since he said it in Spanish and we asked for a translator, we got the translator. So now I'd like to read it.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure we don't get in the whole debate over this. And by the way,
I'm just reading what the translator sent to me. So
Okay.
continuing, please. You do not speak for me, Robin Broschli. You do not speak for me, Emily Hellstrom. You and the other members of this community who co-opt our pain and suffering do not speak for us. We just want the opportunity to get a good education in the United States. We would like to be in classrooms where the teacher can teach the whole class. You worry about stupid things like screen schools and gifted and talented programs and ignore what we actually want. We are not paid actors. We are people who you ignore because though you say you care about us, your actions show otherwise. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, Thomas, and address these crazy gringos.
Thank you. We have a Wei Chan with a hand raised. Did you want to speak as well?
I think she already spoke, Len.
Yes,
Okay.
she already spoke
Earlier.
about it.
Thank you. Okay. That brings us, thank you for all the people. Again, we had accommodated a lot of people. We don't want to be here till 11 o'clock at night. The next item on our agenda is the discussion, debate of the plan and the resolutions. So let's start with the discussion on resolution 211 to accept Superintendent McGuire's middle school admissions plan. Do any council members want to speak in favor or in opposition to resolution 211?
I have a question.
Sure, Robin, go ahead.
What's the point of this resolution? I know that its co-sponsors don't plan on supporting it.
There are 2 resolutions. One resolution, again, is to approve the plan. One resolution is to reject the plan. 2 resolutions are being presented specifically because you cannot have a resolution that either supports or rejects the plan as part of the same resolution. It doesn't make any sense. You can't have, if the resolution is voted for, we do this. If it's rejected, we do that. So so 2 resolutions are being put forward. They are very simple. One is to accept the plan as presented by Superintendent McGuire. One is to reject the plan.
But I guess what I'm wondering, there's a resolution to reject the plan that will pass. Why isn't that enough? Why do we also have to vote on a resolution to accept the plan?
Let me just put it to you this way. I have no doubt in my mind that if we did not have a resolution to accept the plan, people would be saying that where's the resolution to accept the plan?
Why don't you ask people who you know probably support the plan if they wanted to put forward a resolution and just write one on your own that you don't even believe in?
Robin, I'm not here to debate you about if you want to speak as to the merits.
I'm
of
just
resolution-
asking, I'm allowed to ask questions of the co-sponsors of the plan, and I'm asking you a question. So your point, so let me just restate it to make sure I understand it. You felt that there needed to be a plan in favor of it. 3 co-sponsors who don't plan on voting for it wrote a resolution they don't believe in. That sounds very performative to me. I plan on not voting for this resolution because this is all just theater, and I don't like, this is pointless. This resolution is pointless. That's just my opinion. And that's my comment on the resolution.
Thank you. Your opinion is duly noted. Any other council members wish to speak on resolution 211? Okay, let's move to resolution. I can't.
Is my hand not being seen, or?
His hand is up, and then we also have Chen and Kush.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see the hands. Okay.
I'm sorry, Lucy Kim, I'm sorry, but the time for public speakers is over. But thank you for wanting to speak.
Again, I apologize. I'm doing this on my phone, so I don't have access to screens. Who was the first person between Lupe, Chen, and Kush?
Lupe, Chen, and Kaushik in that order.
Okay, so Lupe, please go ahead.
Yeah, I was just, I was confused as to this, being that this meeting, the resolutions, one of which that we're discussing in favor of Superintendent Kelly's middle school admissions plan, as to why, I don't know, it seems like at least 6 of you knew what was happening, which technically is a quorum. And you guys were doing this behind the scenes. And I don't see any other CEC that is putting forth resolutions to reject or support their middle school admissions plan, because it was a process that was announced by our chancellor that gave our superintendent autonomy after much engagement. I'm going to mute whoever's not muted. And it seems very suspicious that you would do this on a night that there was actually engagement happening for middle schools this evening, leaving a vast majority of our community that would actually want to participate in this engagement, or this, I don't know what it is, other than I'm really confused as to why this was even needed, or couldn't even waited for next week when our normal scheduled calendar meeting. I think there was a CEC G&T feedback session going on at this time as well. I'm disappointed in the actions of this council, and as a representative of our district, I feel that we are, like I said before, I will say this particular district had the most engagement regarding admissions. If you calculate the amount of minutes of all of our meetings that we've spent on this topic alone, we've heard from both sides equally. And there were meetings that there were a majority of support for screens, and there were meetings where a majority of support were not for screens. So I think that we need to respect not only our superintendent after a C37 process that we've been through, this entire district went through, and the harm that has been implicated by this district, that they continue to push single agendas of what they were elected to be on this council for. And I will remind you, although you were elected on one piece of admissions or screens or G&T, you also represent all students in this district, and that is K through 8. And we need to respect the decision made by our superintendent as well as the chancellor. Our superintendent actually won an award, and I'd like to put that out there. He won Superintendent of the Month because he was tasked with something extremely difficult with a group of people on this council that it's been extremely difficult. And we are now continuously, and members of this council have attacked his family on social media. They have threatened to have him be fired, which is inappropriate. And I think it's extremely non-effective to the betterment of the education of our students within this council. And I think we really need to sit back and think, because this makes no sense. The three people that are probably would have voted for this resolution were not even privy to this meeting happening, let alone that the resolution was being written. And it's a non-starter. It makes no sense. And a waste of our community's time, in all honesty.
Next speaker, Kush.
I want to point out, just so for everyone's edification, that the time that was chosen was not convenient for most of the council members, including myself. I was late, and I knew I was going to be late because I had no other choice to pick up kids. The time that was chosen was actually to accommodate Superintendent Kelly McGuire, just so everyone is aware. And it actually started with Superintendent McGuire had actually reached out to our president to have a meeting, and our president felt it would be better to expand to a larger council, to a larger group. I then requested formally a meeting for it to be done under a larger council, and I only created this one resolution, and it was felt by the parliamentarian that that's another one should be created. I think in discussion with Jennifer Greenback, don't quote me on that. I don't want to throw down in front of the bus. So just so we're aware, nobody really wanted it this time. It is not convenient for me. I would have rather gone to the G&T meeting. In addition, I actually did send an email to FACE telling them that their meeting was at a bad time, in addition to it being parent-teacher conference night. And the other parents here had issues with that. Not of my choosing. This is not a great time for me. This was the time available out of the choices that Superintendent McGuire gave to us, which, by the way, also included daytime times. So this was the best available we had to choose, and it was one that worked best for the people. But I understand it's not great at all. So let's just before you throw cast stones, perhaps you might want to ask why it was done a certain way first. And I believe Len and I had covered some of this, but you chose to.
If I can just interject, I just want to say, first of all, no one, Ms. Greenblatt was not involved in anything, in these decisions. I just want to be absolutely clear on that. I don't want anyone to be under any misrepresentations here. Second of all, the meeting times, there was a time in the middle of the day that was actually selected by Superintendent McGuire, and it was felt that that wouldn't comply with the bylaws as well. And I don't think many parents here would be able to attend a meeting at around 12:30 in the afternoon. So I just want to make sure the record is clear on that. Look, you're welcome to speak in favor or in opposition to the resolutions, and that's why we're here right now. Next speaker, Chen.
Yeah, thanks. I'll try to be quick as possible to not belabor this point. The admissions, I just wanted to say that as soon as Chancellor Banks announced his admissions policies about high schools and middle schools, I immediately contacted at least one of the principals for my liaison schools and Superintendent Kelly, along with an SOT parent, to start discussing immediately how we can restore academic screening to that school. And Superintendent McGuire immediately said, please don't bother the principals and talk directly to me and Deputy Superintendent Reginald. And then from then on, we had no real engagement about that. And finally, weeks later, I had a call with him to discuss his plans verbally, and to which, like I mentioned before, I had a whole list of questions to ask and try to nail him down on specifics. He never replied. Then he released his plan to the public, and which was a day before the admissions process started. So we are fighting for time, and I apologize that we have to have a meeting that suited Superintendent Kelly's schedule, which was today. We asked for a meeting early on at previous calendar meetings to discuss it. And I specifically said the last calendar meeting, please don't go into the kitchen and bake us a cake without telling us, without engaging us, and then come out and tell us, what do you think? Because that's exactly what he did. He never told us what he was thinking, what he was going to do. He'd never accepted any of our suggestions or the suggestions of engagement. And this is why we want to do it as soon as possible, even before next week's calendar meeting, because the application window is open now. We want to get every parent and family to know what's happening to try to get their views heard. This is why we expedited the meeting. So we apologize for expediting the meeting to serve the best interests of our families. Sorry about that. Thank you.
I'm not sure, is it Janie that's next or Ushma?
Yes, thank you.
Janie Ushma Ben, so you know.
Great, thank you. The Chinese immigrant community was not heard. I want to repeat that. The Chinese immigrant community was not heard in this process.
Ushma?
Sure. I just want to go on record on saying that I fully support Kelly McGuire's plan here. I thought it was well thought out, and it represents an olive branch towards many communities. It preserves sibling priority, which so many people fought for. It allows a path for all schools to offer regents, which is clearly something that many of us on this call have talked about at length in the past. And it offers a path towards accelerated learning. I will not be voting for either one of these resolutions. I agree with what was said earlier, that this was put together very quickly without the input from several of us who could have written a very strong resolution in support of the current plan. We were not given that opportunity. And the current resolution that is put forward is thin, weak, and rather unfortunate, and it does a real disservice for the many in our community. We had a tsunami of emails today that are in support of the current plan that we could have used, or even sought that kind of feedback that we could have put into a resolution that would have been much stronger.
Okay.
Ben?
Yeah, I just want to explain a little bit of the timeline. I received some communication from Superintendent McGuire about 2 weeks ago, and he wanted to have a discussion regarding his plan. I did not want to get into a privileged discussion that didn't involve council members and our entire council. So I had suggested that we raise this discussion to the entire council. This is a decision for the council and for communities to participate, not just a one-on-one discussion. And in terms of letters, I have received thousands and thousands of emails every which way. We have a large community. We have a community that's passionate, and we have a community with many opinions. I don't know how you make everybody happy, but this plan didn't do it. And in no way did I want to participate in a privileged discussion without bringing it to the community. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else that wishes to comment on resolution 211?
Yes.
Okay, Robin, go ahead.
I want to thank Ben for his absolute transparency and his loyalty to all the parents and families of District 2, because he has stuck his neck out again and again and again and put in so many hours trying to look after all of our children and make sure as many voices can and could be heard. And I want to repeat what he just said. You can't make everyone happy, but in line with what Janie said earlier, Kelly McGuire is a superintendent to all of our children, not just some groups, not to our kids, to your kids, it's all of us. And he did not listen to many of those families and those groups. He ignored the Chinese community. He ignored the 40 or so resolutions that we spent so much time writing, neglecting our own duties at home trying to represent those families who put us here in the first place. And we're all doing our best, but it's not acceptable to say, I'm going to ignore all those voices because I fundamentally feel differently. And that is what Kelly McGuire did. And so we are here. I also want to say, Lupe, you said that there were meetings in which the majority supported Greens. There were other meetings in which the majority did not. That's not true. It's actually in the next resolution. And the landslide of, I think you called it, I think there were 10 emails that we received this morning, doesn't even compare to like drop in an ocean to the number of phone calls and emails we've been receiving over the last several months. So I will continue to do my best to serve all the families that we represent. And that includes options for everyone's children. We're not saying that anyone's children are better than any others, but we need choice and we need variety, and we've asked for it and we should have it. And we need Kelly to go back to the drawing board.
Len, you're muted.
Is Len still on? Someone
All right, as a secretary here, he might be having.
He's on, but he's not, he's muted.
Okay, so we need to, if anyone else needs to speak, are there any other council members who have not spoken? I don't believe so.
Yes, sorry about that. It's very hard to do this on your phone. Are there any other council members that wish to speak on this resolution? Okay, then we're going to move to the next resolution. Anyone wish to speak on the next resolution?
I will, but I already presented it, but I'm giving others a chance to speak.
Well, Daniela, you go.
Yeah, so I just want to say that why I'm going to support this resolution. I think, as have been said very well here in the chat, people who don't want to screen are happy with this plan. They have the option, they have the lottery, they have their zone schools. People who do want screens don't have any options to stay in public schools. And so their only option is to go to private schools. And this is the biggest segregation and generating inequality that exists in our society, and it's going to exist now in our district. Our district has a long track record of having very good schools with academic screens that can also serve people who cannot afford to go to private schools. And now that's the reality that we have. And that's why if that's going to be the plan, and if this is going to be in District 2, I'm going to start organizing a very big coalition in New York City for us to have vouchers. We need now to really support families who cannot afford private schools. And if these are the only options they're going to have access to screen middle schools, I'm going to be working on that. And any family here who feels that this is not affordable to you, you cannot access private school, but you feel that the district's not serving you, please contact me and we can work together on this, because clearly the message from District 2 has been over and over and over again. We won't serve accelerated learners. We won't serve accelerated learners. So we need to find a way to every accelerated learner in our district to be served. And if it's not going to be through public schools, it has to be through vouchers. So let's work together on that. Thank you.
So I would like to actually speak in support of the second resolution. And I want to address some of the comments that were made here earlier tonight. Some of the comments were directed directly at our council members. In terms of that, we try to do the best we can. The comments that were addressed to us by other council members about us representing the entire district, that is something I think every single one of us is well aware of, but that does not mean that we leave our thoughts and our opinions regarding the education of students in District 2 at the door. We were elected by the members of District 2, by the community, And if people have a problem with that, then I certainly encourage them to run for the next set of parent elections that are going to be held. We try to do the best we can, and it is very difficult to please everyone. That being said, in terms of this resolution, I think it's absolutely clear that Chancellor Banks set forth a policy and a procedure whereby superintendents had the option of either having screens or not having screens. And that decision was to be done in collaboration with the school leadership, school communities leadership, with staff, and with parents. And I think with regard to what the directive was of Chancellor Banks, school community leadership certainly refers to the Community Education Council and the elected leaders of the District 2 Community Education Council. And I think we have spoken time and time again, not hundreds of times, I don't know if it's 40 times, but whatever number of times, in support of the programs that have worked in the past for this district. And that includes screen programs. Now, I am under no illusion whatsoever that we are, in this environment, we're going to get back screens programs at every single middle school. I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't even advocate for that. But what I do recognize and I do understand is that our children are different. As the IEP representative for this district, I understand that my child has needs that are very different from other children. And I think the Department of Education should work to ensure that the needs of all of our students are met, regardless of whether or not you are the highest performing student in this district or you are the lowest performing student in this district. And I think that the only way that that can be accomplished is not only having every single school be a fantastic school, but making sure that there are programs within those schools that address the individual needs of those students. I do not believe that the engagement that was followed, or the process that was followed by Superintendent McGuire as part of this process, was done fairly. I believe that the engagement sessions clearly demonstrated that there was, I believe, a majority, and whether that is even up for debate, whether or not it is a majority or a minority, it is clear that a large number of parents in this district support screens. And it is important that we meet not only the IEP students, and my child is an IEP student as well, but that we meet the students who have additional needs, who may require acceleration, who need that as part of their learning process. And the only way to accomplish that is to try to develop programs that can meet those students. I think the programs that are offered by Superintendent McGuire clearly are just a spit in the ocean, a drop in the bucket. They clearly do not satisfy the educational and instructional needs of our students in District 2. I think that the plan that is presented, I want to make absolutely clear that this is a lottery system, and that if you truly believe that our children are different, if you truly believe that our children have different instructional needs, then you can't have a lottery system, because a lottery system assumes that all of our children are completely equal and that they are all going to learn into the same situations and the same environments and things like that. You are treating people no different, and that's treating our children no different than numbers. And my child should not be a number. My child has special needs, just like I believe people and parents feel that their students have needs. And we should endeavor to work the hardest we can. And I would endeavor Superintendent McGuire to really rethink this program and to go back and work as they have in other districts and come up with a plan that really does provide some sort of opportunities for the students that need acceleration and that need a different set of circumstances in terms of learning for our district. And I think that can be done. We've heard from representatives of other districts here tonight. It has been done in other districts. District 2, we have amazing students in our district. We are a very high performing district. But let's not cop out and say, okay, for diversity or for this reasons. Diversity is not served by treating our children as numbers. Diversity is not served that way. Diversity is served by developing programs. We have a lot of smart people in this district. Superintendent McGuire is one of them, by developing programs that really can help our students. So I apologize for the ramble. I am opposing this plan. It does not meet the needs of our students. It's great if you have a lottery number that, and by the way, I just want to address one other point that was made tonight, which is I am hearing from people in our district that at schools that have formally been screened, that you are seeing, because of the wide ranges of academic capabilities of students at those schools, that people are falling behind. It's becoming difficult for teachers to teach in those classrooms. And that is something that needs to be addressed. And we can, put our heads in the sand. We do have equity issues. We should strive for a perfect world, and we should strive for the greatest diversity. We're not that diverse district. We do have diversity in our district, but let's not lose sight of the fact that we have amazing schools, we have amazing teachers, and there's no reason why we can't have some screen programs in this school, in this district. And that's why I am supporting the resolution opposing this plan. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on the second? Kush?
I'm happy to yield to anybody else who wants to go before me, but going once, twice, okay. So one, I want to just a couple of different points. One, Len, thank you very much. I very much agree with almost everything you said. I want to reiterate a few different things. One, I heard said by a fellow council member that we've heard there have been meetings where a majority of parents have spoken in favor of screens and a majority have spoken in favor of against. There is not, just to be clear, that is untrue. There is not a single CEC meeting this term where that has been the case. I don't even think there was a single CEC meeting last term where that is the case. I don't know because I haven't been to all of them, but I've been to all of them since video has started. So I'm telling you that's never happened. In fact, and in this resolution of the meetings that we do have statistics for, I've given them to you. Whether you like them or not, you can go back and look at the video and you can verify them for yourselves. Beyond what's written here, I reiterate that at the start of the pandemic, when under former Chancellor Carranza, when this happened, these numbers are actually in line with what was given then. And majority of parents in Manhattan spoke in favor of screens for middle school. Majority of parents in New York City spoke in favor of middle schools. That all being said, I keep hearing that this is true, this is not true, that this is whatever. Why can't we have? I was hearing about why screens don't work. Just to be clear, Resolution 209, where we laid forth a very specific plan, we asked for screen schools, zone schools with acceleration, and lottery schools. The point being that we were denying nobody anything. If you want, I've not heard you. In that resolution was, we specifically asked for lottery schools for parents that wanted it. We wanted screen schools for parents that wanted it, and zone schools, with a variety of options. That was easily doable in our district. It is what existed to a large extent in our district with some additional tweaks. So I don't understand how people you can like lottery or dislike lottery. I personally believe lottery empowers no ethnic group. It doesn't teach my half Hispanic kids, my half Indian kids how to compete in the real world, not in New York City, not on a global stage, which, let's face it, all jobs are really at, especially with the use of Zoom. Everyone is competing on a global stage whether they like it or not. Lottery empowers nobody for any of this. Be that as may, you don't agree with me? In our resolution was a plethora of lottery schools in addition to the other schools that we asked for. Superintendent McGuire could have provided all of the above. That's what we asked for. It's kind of what we had before. It's with 3 other large districts comparable to ours, and those were picked because of the size, both in terms of geographic size and number of schools and number of students. There is some variability, but they are the most comparable to us. And in all those 3 districts, the superintendents managed to deliver a plethora of choice to parents, including lottery and all the way up to screening. Beyond that, they did so in a much more respectful time frame and much more respect to their CECs and their opinions of their CECs and the parents they brought to the engagements, which we had done and we helped Kelly McGuire do for his own engagements. I find his whole plan and process completely disingenuous. You can think I'm being disrespectful to him if you like. He has just disrespected all the CEC, all of the hundreds, probably about 400 parents, 500 parents that went to the various meetings. He disrespected all of them, and I absolutely agree with Councilmember Janey in saying he absolutely disrespected the Chinese speaking community, which he specifically sought out and ignored. So I'll have to agree with the majority of what Len said and add what I have added. And this resolution does lay it all out. And I think it should be taken in conjunction with 209, which we spent a considerable amount of time on, which is a more reasonable plan for our district. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that has their hand raised?
Oh, I make one other addition. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Make it short, please.
It is very short. And by the way, I'm tired of hearing how lottery and is great, especially for Black and brown families, yet the 3 Black women that spoke here today spoke very strongly and clearly in favor of screen schools, and everyone else wants to tell them that their view doesn't matter. And before we accuse anybody of tokenism, I count about 50 speakers, and 3 Black speakers out of 50, unfortunately, is about right for our district. If you look at our demographics, it is what it is. I can't change that. If people want to redistrict, we want to redraw lines. Great, let's do that. But right now, that's about the percentages in our district. And everyone just told, and I heard a whole bunch of families, all you social justice warriors, just tell them that their opinion doesn't matter. Thank you for that.
Councilmember Kwok.
Yeah, I'll try to be brief. I agree with you, Len, Councilmember Silverman, and also Das. And I also want to state that and also Councilmember Egoroff, I also support school vouchers. I believe the time really has come to push for real competition for the government-run schools. They have been under control of teacher unions, many of whom are represented here, who really act in their own interests to the detriment of children. School closures, opposition to school choice and charter schools, which are majority Black and Hispanic and low income. Surprise, surprise, why are they so against minority communities? So school vouchers, as like something, an example is Arizona, which passed, will guarantee every parent and family, a child, the cost of an education, regardless of where they choose to go to school. And I think that's really the only way to really shake up this whole system of educators in the government school system who don't care about their results, who don't like standardized tests because it's a thermometer that exposes the failure to teach the students. And today they're still fighting against quality education, such as screening and academic excellence. So and don't just lay it on someone who's necessarily working in the industry or not. People choose to work in the industry because they support the view. I don't work in that industry, and I support school choice and vouchers. I think it's high time to really push for that and even get DOE out of the business of running and operating schools. It has massively failed. $38 billion a year. It has come up with 85% students who are still illiterate and innumerates. So it's a big failure. Any other industry would have been shut down and went bankrupt unless to be failed and replaced by new competitors who can do the job. So school choice vouchers will open the field up to competitors who couldn't do the job of educating our children. Thank you.
Do we have any other council members that wish to comment on the second resolution?
And I support the resolution to oppose the plan from Superintendent Kelly.
Going once, going twice. Okay. Discussion, debate is closed. The next item on the agenda is the vote on the resolutions. I would ask.
Isn't there a second public speaking session?
There is no second public speaking session. A second public speaking, a second tongue twister. A second public speaking session is optional. We generally provide for it, but it is not required by the bylaws. And for time, we just went ahead and did it this way. So with that being said, it's Ushma, would you like to say anything now?
No, I was just, I didn't look at the agenda. That's my fault.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda is the vote on the resolutions. Can we have our roll call for a vote? And we're going to specifically vote on resolution 211. So the I'd like to make a motion to approve a resolution 212 to accept Superintendent McGuire's middle school admissions plan.
You mean 211? You said 211 and 212. Which one is it?
It's 211. I'm sorry. I'm reading it from a phone. I can barely even see, so I apologize. My
I
internet was
second your
down.
motion to vote on 211.
Okay, so this vote will be for resolution 211.
Can you say the resolution? Because again, that was confusing. Can you please state the resolution that we're actually voting on?
This is resolution 212, which is a resolution.
Wait. No.
211.
Resolution
I'm sorry,
211
Look,
to approve
this is
Kelly
yes.
McGuire's proposal for middle school admissions.
Thank you very much, Robin. Thank you.
Robin Broshi, how do you vote?
She's not here anymore.
Absent. Okay. Kaushik Das.
No.
Daniela Igorov.
No.
Lupe Hernandez.
Abstain.
Robin Kelleher. No. Chen Kwok.
No.
Benjamin Morden.
No.
Ush Manil.
Abstain.
Len Silverman.
Abstain.
Lim Fong Sim.
Abstain.
Liwa Lily.
I never saw her tonight.
I saw her earlier.
Oh, okay. Apologies.
She's on.
Can we reach out to her? See if-
She's on this. She's on the call.
Is she a co-host? Can she unmute herself?
Chen, can you reach out to her?
I'm doing that right now.
Would you guys do the same for us? I'm just curious how long you would wait and reach out and call somebody.
You know, I just want to point out that that's the reason why people look at the District 2 Community Education Council, because they see the divisiveness. So I appreciate what you're saying, but it's really uncalled for. I want to make sure that anyone who wants to vote, who we know is apparently here, has that opportunity, especially if there's a language issue. So your comment speaks for itself.
Okay, so we're not hearing from Lily, but again, she doesn't speak English, Lupe. So that's why we had Chen reach out to her to provide a translation service like we did earlier. Okay, so we're not getting an answer, so we'll have absent from that. And we'll move on.
I don't see her on currently, unless I'm mistaken. Someone please verify.
Agreed. I looked as well.
So I'm going to call the vote to an end. Can we have the total vote, the vote total, please?
5 no, 4 abstain, and 2 absent.
So resolution 211 does not pass. The next I'm going to make a motion to call for resolution 200 for a motion to approve resolution 212, which is the resolution to, I'm sorry, did I mess it up again?
212 to reject Kelly McGuire's middle school admissions plan. I second.
Okay.
And now I'm going to do a roll call.
Yes,
Robin
like to call for a
Broshi.
vote.
Robin Broshi. She's absent. Kaushik Das.
Yes.
Daniela Igorov.
Yes.
Lupe Hernandez.
No.
Robin Kelleher, yes. Chen Kwok.
Yeah, yes.
Benjamin Morden.
Yes.
Ush Manil.
No.
Leonard Silverman.
Yes.
Lim Fong Sim.
Yes.
Li Hua.
If she's no longer here, I will call the vote to an end.
Okay, I just have one question. Is Spencer supposed to vote also?
I'm
Oh,
sorry. I
I'm
didn't-
sorry. Yes.
Is Spencer supposed to vote
Spencer,
also?
I'm so
No,
sorry.
we have not decided that, so I would just,
Okay.
we can deal with our student representative next week.
Okay, Spencer,
Okay,
I'm
so-
sorry. If when we finish this, you'd like to say something, we'll give you a moment because we would love to get you involved as much as possible.
So it's 7 yes, 2 no, and 2 absent.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that one more time?
7 yes, 2 no, 2 absent.
So resolution 212 passes with the, with 7 yes votes. Okay. The next item on our agenda, unless does Spencer Silverman wish to say anything?
No.
Thank you. And just for the record, Spencer Silverman is our new student representative for the District 2 Community Education Council. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is closing remarks by the Admissions and Diversity Committee. Co-chairs.
Robin, you want to go first? Or-
Yes, I hope that Superintendent Kelly McGuire will watch in full this presentation tomorrow. And we will pass this along to Chancellor Banks as well. And I hope that progress can be made and that all voices can be heard. And I appreciate everyone staying on this meeting that was meant to be much shorter. But I thank you for advocating for your children.
I just also want to add as follow-up comments, even though I am not a co-chair of the Admissions and Diversity Committee, I want to appreciate or send my thank you to all of you who have been here tonight. I think it's important, regardless of your opinions on these issues, that you came out and you spoke. We did our best to make sure that, I know it's tough to fit it in under a minute, but I appreciate all of you doing your best. There will be a CEC regularly scheduled calendar meeting next Wednesday, and that will be, I believe, at 6:30. That is our normally scheduled calendar meeting. So anyone who wishes to make public comments during that meeting will have an opportunity as well. But again, I'd like to thank all of the people, council members, all of us who are here tonight, all members of the public, and especially Chernelle. Again, I want to thank you for handling the timer, and it was not easy, but I think we got through it. So with that, I would make a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Everyone have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Len. Nice job with just the phone.
Thank you, everyone.
Not easy. I'll tell you that. Chernelle, thank you very much. It's really appreciated.
No problem.
I think you had the hardest job out of everyone tonight.
Yeah, I couldn't take notes, so just so everyone knows. You're
And
gonna
by
get
the way, I like
notes
you
for
to
this
have.
next week.
Sure. Now, I wanted to say thank you too for constantly refreshing the speaker list and the alphabetical order of the council member list so that I can see that. I know I realized what you were doing, so I really appreciate it.
No problem.
And by the way, your hair looks great.
Thank you.
Len, can
Yeah.
you make me host so I can turn off the stream?
Yeah, sure. Let me do that. Give me 1 second, Ben. Trying to figure it out. This is not easy on a phone, I can tell you that.